Thank you, everyone, for joining today. My name is Jill Sabin, and I'm proud to serve as the president of the citywide PTO. I would like to thank all six of our school committee candidates for joining us tonight. Meet the Candidates Night is designed to give families and community members the opportunity to hear directly from those running for office, learn about their priorities, and better understand the choices ahead. This is an informational session, not a debate. Our goal is to foster a respectful dialogue and informed decision making. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that Citywide is nonpartisan. While individual board members may be personally involved in campaigns across the city, tonight's event has been organized with neutrality and fairness in mind. To ensure consistency, Colleen Doyle, our vice president, and I work together to collect questions submitted by the community, identify common themes, and craft 6 thoughtful questions that will be posed to each candidate. Here's a quick outline of how the event will run. We have 2 student moderators, MJ Perdios from Quincy High School School Committee. He is a student representative from Quincy High School. And Louisa Bayenzi, the North Quincy High School School Committee student representative. Their leadership and civic engagement are inspiring, and we're grateful for their participation tonight. So each candidate is going to have 1 minute to introduce themselves. Our moderators will then pose the 6 prepared questions with 2 minutes given to each candidate to respond. All 6 candidates were previously provided with question topics in the rotating response order for each topic. We'll conclude with a brief 1-minute closing statement from each candidate. A couple of reminders before we begin. Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th, so please don't forget to vote. The last day to register to vote in Massachusetts is this Saturday, October 25th. Make sure your voice is counted. And finally, our citywide PTO next meeting is November 10th, where we will follow our regular meeting format, and we hope to see you there. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Tina Cahill, who is a candidate for re-election, to give a brief 1-minute introduction. Thank you, Tina.
Well set. Thank you. Thank you for hosting this. My name is Tina Cahill. I'm a current member of the Quincy School Committee, and I'm a lifelong Quincy resident. I hold a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a master's degree in higher ed. My experience in education spans nearly 35 years as a parent, a teacher, and an administrator. My husband, Tim, and I are the proud parents of 4 daughters, all of whom attended the Quincy Public Schools. As a parent, I volunteered at school PTOs, ran fundraisers, participated in a variety of school events, all with the intent of supporting not only my daughters, but also their classmates, faculty, and staff, and doing all the things that engaged parents do. Engage parents like you, because you're here tonight to hear about what we are here to offer as school committee candidates. Running for school committee isn't that much different from being an engaged parent, because in each role, the objective is to provide students with support so that they can attain an education that meets their needs. I look forward to sharing my perspective on QPS as we continue the forum tonight. Thank you. Did I make the 1 minute?
You did. There it goes.
No, it worked. More time. I was rushing. I felt like I was. All right. Well, thank you anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up was alphabetical order, and I'm trying to pull up my things. So do we remember who's next? Was it Kai?
It's me, Jill.
Oh, Kate. Thank you, Kate.
Okay. Hello, my name is Kate Campbell. I think now more than ever, we need leadership that will unite stakeholders to make a positive impact for our students. I have seen the powerful difference it makes when a child has the right people in their corner. I'm a parent of 2 recent QPS graduates and 2 young children currently enrolled at Bernazzani. As the director of an early learning center, I have experience balancing an education budget, managing a staff of educators, and creating supportive learning environments for children. I served as citywide co-president for 4 years and have been actively involved with QPS over the past 15 years, from the Bernazanian citywide PTOs to CPAC to QHS sports booster clubs and senior night out. I'm running for school committee now because I believe I have the expertise and skills to help QPS face the current threats and obstacles to public education, such as funding, social emotional wellness, special education, and curriculum. I'm deeply connected and committed to the Quincy Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Now it's Kai.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Kai Lee. I'm running for school committee. So I moved here about a little over 20 years ago. I love Quincy. It's a great place to start a family. I have a son and a daughter. They're both at Southwest right now, where I currently serve as the vice president of the PTO. Last year, I was the president. Love being able to help the kids, the teachers, achieve their requests, their dreams. And on top of that, I'm the Cup Master of Pack 42 with 89 Scouts. So I like providing opportunities and seeing kids grow. Looking forward to being on the school committee with your vote and doing the same throughout Quincy for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is Tom.
Good evening. Thank you to the Citywide PTO for hosting this forum, and thank you to our facilitators. It's great to see young people getting involved. And happy Diwali to those who celebrate. My name is Tom Leon. I'm a proud graduate of Quincy High School, class of 1997, and I have 3 kids currently in the schools. I went to great colleges, and I work in finance. I am about excellence, representation, and the next generation of leadership. I will work hard to ensure that QPS delivers excellent educational outcomes. I will give voice to all families, and with my dual perspective as a graduate of QPS and a QPS parent, I will be the bridge from the past to the future. I will ensure that spending on our schools is transparent, effective, and focused on attaining the best academic outcomes. I'm passionate about education and the key and foundational role it plays in our children's future. I'm Tom Leon, grew up in Howes Neck, and I respectfully ask for one of your 3 votes on November 4th.
Thank you, Tom. Next is Marcia.
Hi, I'm Marcia Roos, running for school committee. I've been a guidance counselor in public schools for 30 years across all grade levels. I've had a chance to see how different school systems do things, and I know what works well in schools and what could be improved. Every day, I work directly with students, families, teachers, and administrators, and this experience is valuable. My grown children have attended Quincy Public Schools, and they had great educational experiences, including participating in sports, theater, music, art, vocational courses, and more. I want to make sure that these things stay in place and grow with the times. I feel my experience as a guidance counselor in the public schools will be extremely valuable. Some things I want to concentrate on are student mental health, improving student attendance, and the cell phone policy. Thank you.
Thank you. And Frank.
Good evening. My name is Frank Santoro. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Quincy, attending Quincy Public Schools kindergarten through high school. I married my North Quincy High School sweetheart, Linda, raised 2 children, and have 4 grandchildren, all of which benefited from public schools. Our school system has meant a great deal to my family. After spending 50 years in education, I feel the need to offer my experience and knowledge in a leadership position once again. Besides being an experienced educator at all levels and former school committee member, I served as president of the Beecher Knoll PTO and helped create the citywide PTO, member of the Quincy Art Association, Park and Recreation Board, the design team for Quincy High, as well as the new Squantum School, Board of Directors for Quincy Asian Resources, Board of Governors for Quincy College, educational consultant for the architect firm SMMA, and Boston 25 News. I taught a course on school safety to prospective principals at Eastern Nazarene College. I received the Visionary Award and the Leadership Award from Quarry and was inducted into the North Quincy High School Basketball Hall of Fame. I look forward to answering your questions this evening.
Impeccable timing, Frank. Well done. Okay, I am going to hand it over to our student moderators. The first topic they will be discussing is equity across schools.
Am I good to read? All good?
Yep.
Okay. Quincy Public Schools currently offers an AP program at only one middle school, and 2 of the 11 elementary schools only go to grade 4, requiring some students in the district to move to middle school earlier than peers across the city. Families have also raised concerns about disparities in school facilities and infrastructure, with some schools needing critical updates to provide a safe, modern learning environment. Additionally, discussions around redistricting have brought questions about how to fairly balance student populations and resources across neighborhoods. How will you address these intertwined issues to ensure that all students, regardless of which school they attend or where they live, have equitable access to advanced coursework, consistent grade level progression, quality facilities, and balanced resources? What principles will guide your approach to redistricting to promote fairness and community trust?
Am I answering?
Yes, Tina
sorry.
Cahill will be
Okay,
first.
okay. Hi, MJ. Thank you. So that's a multi-pronged question. We're talking about the AP classes, which is one issue, the redistricting, which is another issue, space challenges, which is another issue, and also fiscal responsibility and fiscal resources to make sure we can do everything that we would like to see happen, or that maybe families and students would like to see happen. In terms of the facility needs, I will say that in redistricting, with the 2 big projects that we have on the horizon, we have right now, they're working on the Della Chiesa School, which will be a pre-K and kindergarten center. We'll have, I think, 6 new pre-Ks, 7 kindergartens will be in that building, and that will help to alleviate some of the issues that we're having for instance, at Lincoln Hancock in terms of space. When it comes to redistricting, I think that that's something we have to look at down the road when, if we have the opportunity to build a new school over at St. Mary's, we'll be able to look at the whole city and where we're having space issues and how we'll be able to allocate that space so that we can relieve some of the issues. And maybe to MJ's point, be able to offer some programs in some of the buildings when we are able to have more space or available for some of the programs like a AP courses and things like that. I know that we are doing that in the schools up until the 4th grade. The 5th grade has it at, they go to Central to take their the AP courses. But I think that a lot of it has to do with space, resources, and the availability, that we have to be able to make these things happen.
Thank you. Next will be Kate Campbell.
Thanks for the question, and there's definitely are multiple parts to it. But I think one of the biggest issues across the board with equity is, has to do a lot with income and schools. What services are offered at what schools based on what where families fall. I think that the 5th grade issue is a problem. I think access to enrichment activities, class trips, all of those pieces factor in to this, and collecting data And my assumption is school committee probably has a lot of data and knows where the problems lie. It's a matter of being able to configure how to solve the problems. And space, as Tina mentioned, is probably one of the biggest issues, in terms of shifting resources. Families who have kids with special needs face these same sort of hurdles with those services not delivered equally across in their community schools. So I think it's a big problem that first starts with having enough capacity to spread out these resources to serve all the different folks, whether it's AP classes, special needs classes, having kids at least from first grade to fifth grade in the same school. But I think a lot of this lends itself to strategic planning and capacity building.
Thank you very much. Next is Kylie.
Thank you, MJ, for this question. Seems like a question sort of directed to me because my kids go to Lincoln, which run through fourth grade, and then they're at Southwest right now, fifth through eighth. And then earlier this year, Dr. Perkins and Ms. Loftus, Principal Loftus, came to the school committee meeting. Gave a presentation on why we need to bring Delicasa back up and running, how transferring the kindergarten's class over there will help alleviate some of the pressure at Lincoln. So that's a good first step. We'll use existing school buildings, existing city buildings for that. And then also around that time, there was an article on QATV that the St. Mary's might become a new school sometime in the future, a new elementary. So we use that as a time to do redistricting. In terms of kind of equal access, I know at Quincy High, there are certain classes and certain programs that are available there that's not available in North and vice versa. So having some sort of open enrollment, giving kids options, families options that they want to be part of this program or that program, having space for that would help address the equity piece. It's not that you're zoned to North Quincy, then you could only do these things. You can't take advantage of the CVTE experience. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tom Leung.
Over the summer, I met a man while door knocking who asked what I thought of DEI as sort of a litmus test. I said, "Sir, I believe in every word of that acronym." He handed me back my flyer and said, "Sorry, I can't support you. Equity is giving people things they didn't earn." I tried to explain that not every child has the same access to a quality education through no fault of their own. I believe talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. Every student has talent and potential, but some need more help matching that talent to opportunities. I benefited from the AP program in Quincy Public Schools, and my oldest is in it now. I would love to see that program expanded for fourth graders. We should probably do an audit of and an evaluation of the existing program to make sure that our students are being properly challenged. Redistricting hasn't been done in a while. And so I think it's time, and we need to be focused and take input from the community. I also believe that it is a disservice to some of our fifth graders to make them go to school with middle schoolers. I believe that's robbing them of a crucial development year, of that final year of elementary school. And I would also like to do a comprehensive audit of school spending to make sure that our educational dollars are efficient and equitably distributed. When I'm on the school committee, I'll make sure that Quincy students are equipped with the skills to compete in college, or whatever they want to do.
Thank you. Now it's Marsha's turn.
All right. So a multi-pronged question. So from my experience as a guidance counselor, equity doesn't always mean everyone gets the same thing all the time. What it means to me is that they get what they need. Some students need more help, more assistance, more attention. Some students don't need as much help. For students whose parents are learning English, I may give them more direct assistance when filling out college applications. I might guide them more about their college essay. Or for certain students, I might give them extra reminders about deadlines for scholarships to apply for. Equity means you give schools what they need, which may not be the same for every school, but different schools have different needs. In my experience, some students may process information at a different pace than others, and they may need extra pause time to form their answers, or a few extra minutes on an exam to form their answers, or a graphic organizer to help with any lengthy written responses. These all make it more of a level playing field. We want to be able to provide the education to each student to meet their needs. New buildings with new facilities, equipment, and furniture are nice and help to meet student needs, but the most important factor to meet those needs, and I see this in my work, is to be able to provide the best teachers and staff who are able to connect with and help their students. I want to ensure that we're able to provide all the students with the level of support that they need. And sure, I would, support any advanced courses like AP courses that are available for students in all the schools. I love that.
Thank you. And last, we have Frank.
Thank you, MJ, for a great question. First of all, we do not have equity within the Quincy Public Schools. And our question asker, MJ, you thought of a few points, but let me tell you some more. Besides the grade 5 situation, which I advocated to fix years ago, I'm hoping that the St. Mary's situation will help those 5th graders return to their home schools. I do want to praise the Point staff and Principal Barrett for doing what they're doing by housing those 5th grades, because they're doing a remarkable job. But those kids need to go back and be the leaders in their elementary school, and we'll continue to advocate for that during budget times. We're not equal also because of the way our PTOs raise money. Does every school have the same opportunity within the walls because of how much money their PTO raises? No, they don't. Some schools get extra things. Every time there's a school improvement plan presentation, I saw to it that schools who did not raise as much money as others had the same opportunity through other means of funding, whether they got more money through distribution of after-school funding, somehow to make sure that the kids in every school had the same opportunity. I also want to say that years ago I got involved in 2003 with Dr. Carmen Mariano, who just recently passed, I'm sorry to say. And we studied the AP program because I came from Brookline. And in Brookline, they didn't pull kids to go to Central a couple of days a week. They had the advanced placement teacher go to every elementary school so more kids could get serviced. I brought that idea to Quincy. I'm happy to say that through I've had that more than I can.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to our next question.
So this one's about cultural inclusion and Lunar New Year. Quincy's Asian American community represents a vibrant and growing part of the city's identity. Recognizing Lunar New Year as a school holiday would affirm cultural inclusion and respect for diverse traditions. So the question is, what is your position on formally observing Lunar New Year in Quincy Public Schools, And how would you ensure that cultural celebrations across all communities are meaningfully acknowledged in both policy and practice?
And our first respondent is Kate.
Great. Thank you for this question. And I truly appreciate this because for the last 4 years, I have been working hard to try and make Lunar New Year a holiday in the Quincy Public Schools since it was brought to me through parents at Citywide. I think this is such an important day to recognize and not just as an excused absence. It is a day that honors and shows respect to families who celebrate this very important day. And it came to me as I married into this holiday and learned after my daughter was born how critically important it is to celebrate this as part of our cultural heritage. I think one of the steps that I have worked towards in trying to recognize all holidays is participating in the hiring of the EDI director and making sure all holidays are put on the QPS school calendar so that schools and educators are aware of these important cultural dates and the impact on students. But I think it's really significant to recognize that this is not a contract issue. It's not an issue related to teachers not wanting to take this day off. This issue has such broad support in the community. Door knocking, I hear about it all the time, and even was asked to please put something on my campaign literature to show that I supported this day because the community is really asking for it. And I think it would be a large part of my role on school committee to bring the stakeholders together so that we can finally recognize this day, this really important day for our families and students to celebrate.
Thank you. And next we have Kai.
So, I think back in, I forgot it was January or February, I spoke at the open forum about the Lunar New Year. Prior to this, I've heard anecdotally that a lot of kids are out of school because of Lunar New Year, and it just doesn't function that way. It wasn't until this year that data was provided. Over half of North Quincy High was out of school. I don't think you could run a school or just anything for that matter with half of the people that you're expecting. So from a pragmatic point of view, we need to do something to address that. And being the leader of the Cub Scouts, know that things don't happen by chance. So it was well organized that from the kids with the support of the parents, because the parents needed to sign off on it being an excused absence. So through people's feet and signatures, there was a wide support from the high school level. And then Quincy High wasn't as much, but there was still a good amount. So we need to do something to recognize that. And as for additional cultural celebrations, Lincoln had a multicultural night, and I understand a lot of the other schools have that too. So maybe there could be some sort of thing that we could work out where each month we have like a community event where XYZ holiday is recognized as a after school community event where people get together and celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Tom.
My family and I celebrate Lunar New Year, and I believe it should be an official school holiday. The Lunar New Year is a holiday with deep meaning and tradition to many of our QPS families. Recognizing Lunar New Year as a school holiday isn't just about culture, it's about fairness. Many of us in this virtual room make good faith efforts by showing up in large numbers at open forum, writing letters and signing petitions over multiple school years to get it added as a holiday. Mayor Koch is in favor, as is the Quincy City Council. The momentum is building, and it's going to happen. We will join the likes of the Boston, Brookline, Newton, and Hopkinton school systems in recognizing this important holiday. Yes, Lunar New Year is important to me, but so is representation. I look forward to being a voice for every family when I'm on the school committee.
Thank you. Next, we have Marcia.
I'm committed to listening to all groups that would be affected by adding a holiday to the school calendar and working to find the best practical solutions for all the stakeholders. Holidays are culturally important events for the community. I'd like to take a practical, common sense approach to determining school holidays. We have time to do this since Lunar New Year won't be on a school day for the next 2 years. The school year is 180 days, so regardless of what holidays are in place, we still need to meet the state requirement of 180 school days. I would propose conducting a well-thought-out survey done with the students, families, teachers, and staff to find out what holidays are preferred. And if a holiday such as Lunar New Year is to be added, what would be best to do to accommodate an additional holiday? To start the school earlier, return to school before Labor Day, to go later in the year, or remove an existing holiday? Over the summer, as I attended many of the Quincy 400 events, I did an informal poll of North Quincy students who were volunteering. They replied that they liked how it was this year, that their parents just had to notify the school that the day was a religious holiday and it wasn't counted against them. When we look at the number of elementary students absent that day whose parents asked for the religious holiday, that total number was only about 150. I asked why, and I was told parents would have to take a day off. Some people get paid for their days off, but others don't. This puts those at a disadvantage. When I was canvassing the city, this came up and people asked for us not to add another holiday since they would have to take the day off to be home with their young children. There are many factors to consider, and I'm committed to working with all the groups to find the best solution for managing the school calendar and meeting the needs of the school community.
Thank you. And now we have Frank.
Serving on the Quincy Asian Resource Board of Directors, it's helped me better to understand the needs of our immigrant families. If you walk through Quincy High School and see those flags, I'm the guy that put them there. I took the survey before we opened. I knew that Quincy was a special place because of its diversity. I started the Central Multicultural Night. I advocated for Quincy High School to put on their most exciting day of the year as they celebrate each other's cultures. I'm presently writing a book about a Quincy Asian American family coming to Quincy High School and what the hardships that person faced, those kids faced as they entered the building, so that we better understand our immigrant families. I saw Lunar New Year at the high school where no kids came and there was no lessons being done, and the kids ruined their perfect attendance. Yes, they might have been excused absence, but they're still absent, and they ruined their excused absences if they stayed home. Instead, they left their families and they came to school and did nothing. They had study periods. They played games. It's time for Lunar New Year. The students from North Quincy High School met with me when I made this motion 4 years ago and didn't even get a second to my motion to discuss it. It's time, and it's very close to happening. And I wish that I'm there to make that motion one more time. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Tina.
Hi. Well, I'm probably on the opposite side of everyone on this issue. I do believe that Lunar New Year is an important holiday or cultural holiday for the Asian community. When we talk about there being 39% Asian students in the system, a big portion of that are from India and other Asian countries. But if we truly believe in the principle of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I believe that everyone's holiday is equal. It's not the school committee's job to determine whose holiday is more important to someone else's. If we have 100 students celebrating one holiday and one student celebrating another, like Diwali, for an example, might be a smaller population in our schools, does that show our students that we value their holiday and their culture as much as the Lunar New Year holiday? To Marsha's point, I talked to people in the Chinese community. That's one of their biggest days in the in work for them, where they will have financial burden if they have to stay home from work or whatever because their kids are out from school. I also believe that in terms of cultural awareness, the 60% of the kids that are in school that day have the opportunity to share in Lunar New Year culture and learning about what that means to the Asian community. And that other 60% of kids and their families have to worry about having childcare or being home and not being in school. So right now, I am one of 7 on the school committee. That is my opinion on the Lunar New Year. And I also feel as though federal, state, and municipal are the ones who can determine who's going to have a day off. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to the next question.
The next question is talking about literacy, curriculum integrity, and intellectual freedom. Certified librarians play a vital role in promoting literacy, supporting research skills, and curating diverse, developmentally and appropriate collections. At the same time, schools face increasing pressure around curriculum content and book challenges. The question is, what is your position on reinstating certified librarians in all schools? And how do you protect curriculum integrity and intellectual freedom while responding to parental concerns about specific books or materials?
First, we have Kai.
Louise, thank you for the question. I have a guess on who might have submitted it. It's one of our parents from Lincoln. I had a conversation with her about the lack of qualified librarians, whatever the official term is, at our elementary school level. I actually wasn't aware that a librarian is like I don't want to say official position, but that you need to be certified and that sort of stuff. So she helped bring me up to speed on that. And that's something that's important. It sounds like we have those librarians in our middle and high school, so that's good. And for the librarians, it's not just that they're checking out a book and then they scan in the system. It's teaching a lot of other things too, digital literacy and whatnot. And then as far as the curriculum, intellectual freedom, and that sort of stuff, I think it was Mr. Morani that gave a presentation earlier in the year, also at one of the school committee meetings, where there's a process on what's required to add a book or something like that to the library and to make it available for our students. So it was good that he shared that process. Same thing, I think removing books is not like something that just happens. There's a process that we go through as well. And part of that process is if parents are concerned about a book, they could have a conversation with the teacher and then arrangements could be made. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tom.
Over the summer, I met a family that voiced frustration that they could not find QPS curriculum information online. This information needs to be easily accessible so that families have it when making decisions about where their children are going to school. I will advocate for periodic curriculum review processes that include educators, families, and community members. The curriculum must empower every student to read critically and understand diverse perspectives. We want to create lifelong learners. learners that need research skills and digital literacy. And who better to do that, to guide them, than certified librarians? Our students have a wealth of information available to them, and they need trained professionals to guide them on how to make sense of that information and use it appropriately. And so I am for having more librarians and improving our library facilities. Also, as someone who works in finance and investing, I would love to do more to improve our students' financial literacy. We need to give them the basics of saving, investing, and budgeting. Let's start them early, teach them good habits so that they're prepared when they go off to college or get that first job.
Thank you. And next we have Marcia.
Well, with a couple of my close friends are certified media center specialists, so I am absolutely for more of them being hired. And I asked the media center specialist that I work with, how does she go about adding materials to the collection? And it's a very similar process in Quincy. Policy includes asking students and teachers for suggestions, consulting curriculum guides, and new course descriptions to ensure the collection keeps up to date. Materials can be previewed by students, teachers, media specialists, principals, and assistant principals before purchase. All the requisitions are approved by the principal, department head of media, and the director of curriculum. I support these policies. For example, the curriculum director in the schools chooses books that are read in English classes, and all must go through the leadership team. All must be according to DESE requirements, and the curriculum is directed by Massachusetts frameworks. And those frameworks are based on the Common Core state standards. They focus on developing skills in reading, writing, speaking, listening across all subjects, preparing students for college, career, and life. Under each discipline, the goal is to reach career readiness. For example, in the ELA curriculum, they work on comprehension, writing, debating. They practice speaking, such as in a debate, presentation, or even a Socratic seminar. I support these policies. They seem to make sense to me. For intellectual freedom, I support teachers being able to differentiate learning, adapt to what their students need, and use their professional judgment. A teacher should be able to stay true to the curriculum goals. They may use different methods to reach all their students while caring to avoid harmful stereotypes and showing respect for others. Teachers can engage kids to think, not just repeat back.
Thank you. Next, we have Frank.
Thank you. I'm very concerned about equity in spending for our libraries. I want to make sure that each of the schools get an appropriate amount of money. So we like to keep a watch on that. And with no MCAS, we need to make sure we have assessments to measure the growth in learning for both students and staff. We currently adhere to the state standards and frameworks, so I'm not too worried about what we're teaching. And also, when you talk about hiring more libraries or doing anything budget-wise, you've got to come up with the money. So I ask you people who want to hire more librarians, where you're going to get the money. If the mayor isn't going to give it to you, you're going to have to cut money somewhere come budget time. So my question to you people is where you're going to cut to hire more librarians. Secondly, if you're just doing that, you're just providing lip service on what you want. You need 3 other people to go along with you to get anything. So just saying you want to do this doesn't work. You got to have 4 votes, and it's got to be during budget time. I also want to let people know that I was responsible for help creating the early college program with my efforts on the College Board of Governors at Quincy College. 350 of our kids are taking advantage of getting college credit while they're in high school. And if your kid isn't involved in it, it's a no-brainer. You leave high school with college credits for nothing. So get involved with early college. Those are my issues with literacy at this point. But please, let us know how you're going to fund more librarians. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tina.
Hi, thank you. I agree with the concept of adding media specialists to our schools, but I think to Frank's point, it all comes down to funding and resources. And if we don't have the money in the budget, then we have to think about how we're going to, if that was a priority and was voted on as something that we were going to implement, would have to be looking at other places where we would be pivoting our resources. So that's an important, like anything in our schools, we could be doing a million other things, but it all comes down to funding and resources and having the ability to implement. In terms of the screening process and literature and how we approve our quality materials, we have DESE recommendations and standards that we have to adhere to. And we have committees of the teachers when they submit a book for approval. There's administrators, principals, and a committee of people who will do a rigorous screening of materials to make sure that they're appropriate, that they are meeting academic standards and adding to the curriculum as it's stated in our DESE standards and curriculum that we have in place. So that's an important piece. And we also want to make sure that our materials are healthy and safe and messaging for our students. So, and in terms of intellectual freedom, again, if we're following curriculum and the standards that are mandated of us, and teachers can be creative in being able to present their materials, then that's something that I think that educators should have the opportunity to do within their own classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Kate.
Sure. I think librarians play a critical role in our schools. They bring vital skills to our students and support to our educators. And important part of this question is that, there are current attacks on our curriculum and restrictions on educators. And, we must respect our educators and allow them to decide what their students need to access the material effectively and how to teach. They are the experts here. They're highly trained professionals, need to be respected and valued and allowed to be trusted to do their job in educating our children. I think this is one reason a strong school committee is so important. Having parents on school committee allows them the ability to see firsthand the importance of the work our educators are doing and be aware of what issues they feel are impacting their ability to do the work. So I think educators have to have the insight and the ability to put forth the curriculum that they feel makes the most sense for what they're teaching. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to our fourth question.
Thank you. This question is about technology, distraction, and innovation in the classroom. From Chromebooks to AI tools like ChatGPT, technology is reshaping how students learn. At the same time, cell phones and digital distractions pose real challenges to classroom focus and engagement. The question is, what policies would you support to ensure that technology enhances learning rather than disrupts it? And how should Quincy Public Schools balance innovation, equity, and responsible use of devices and AI in the classroom?
And first, we have Tom.
Thank you for the question. I use AI every day in my job. Large language models and generative AI are game changers. Artificial intelligence is in every industry, and it will be even more pervasive when our students enter college and the workforce. I want to be on the school committee to listen to your concerns and feedback on AI and help craft a thoughtful policy on responsible and ethical usage of AI tools. We can't afford to neglect it or get it wrong. We need to prepare our students for the job market of the future, a future where AI will be a collaborative partner and productivity enhancer. AI and technology do not just provide new opportunities for our students, but our teachers as well. With the right training and tools, more teacher time could be freed up to do what they do best, make important personal connections with their students. As for the distractions, I am supportive of policy to keep cell phones out of schools. And in terms of making sure that our students have equitable access to technology, we need to make sure that there are enough Chromebooks for all students. We need to help families that don't have access to broadband internet at home. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Marcia.
In today's world, we're all using technology. Even as I wrote notes for this, my computer suggested words that were spelled incorrectly. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. It can be helpful, but let's not rely on it for our every thought. We can teach students how to use technology as they have been using Google Classroom even before the pandemic. We can teach them how to evaluate their sources to check authenticity. But we don't want students to put in, write a 3-page paper on this topic and be done with their homework. Instead, teachers can include ways students can include AI, such as for help brainstorming project ideas. But they still need to learn how to think critically, how to communicate with one another in group projects, and evaluate their sources. When I've talked to some English teachers in my school, they've tended to use a lot of class time helping students research and write their ideas. Their tests include time for the students to actually write their analysis of some literature based on quotes they looked up during class time. They do this to ensure the students are actually doing the work, so they can't use AI at home to complete it. Cell phones are also part of this question. I've seen how Central has handled this, and parents as well as students are supportive of this. Put them away. Students don't need them during class. My school uses pouches to put the phones in, and that's successful in keeping the students less distracted during class. I'm watching the state, which has proposed legislation to ban cell phones during the day, bell to bell. New York just did it too. I think it helps when students don't rely on their phones to communicate with someone. Rather, it would be nice for them to have a face-to-face actual conversation with people. And I support that.
Thank you. Next, we have Frank.
Thank you. AI is here to stay. I can remember when the calculator was a thing that everybody feared. When it added and subtracted by itself, we were all amazed. Well, AI is here to stay, but we need a balance because there's pros and cons. It's beneficial to gaining knowledge quickly, but it's at the expense of not practicing critical thinking skills. Too much screen time delays reading and writing skills, weakening focus and hurting social development. Children need books and real connections, not just screens. I think we should have a course at the high school that teaches how to use AI. And I would advocate for funding to keep the most up-to-date technology in the classroom and in the hands of our kids. But I also want to say that cell phones need to be put away, and I'm anxiously awaiting what the state does because it would be positive for them to make this law. I saw the interruptions while being principal. I had to take kids to the door because they refused to give up their cell phone in 2013. I can imagine what it's like now. But I also said some of those kids never came back. The cell phone needs to be put away because it's too distracting during the course of the day. It causes many hardships, thefts, and problems instead of learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tina.
Hi, thank you. This is timely because Wednesday night we are having a meeting, and I asked for us to put the cell phone policy on the agenda to bring it to our policy committee. We did pass a policy that there will be no cell phones in classes. However, I think things have been better, but they're not perfect. A lot of times the teachers have to be the police of the cell phones, and it puts them in an unfair position where they have to be asking kids to put their phones away. And I don't think it's an appropriate way for them to have to do that. So we're going to bring the policy back up so we can maybe give it a little more teeth and look at the option of having the pouches. Some schools will put the phones in like shoe pouches on doors, but that can cause problems in terms of maybe someone taking someone else's phone, etc. So this would allow the students to keep the phones with them, but in a pouch where they couldn't access it during the school day. And we all know that our phones are distractions for adults just as much as for students. So I think that educators would appreciate that policy change if we can get there. In terms of AI, last year we had Emily Lebo, our colleague, ask the schools to Mr. Marani to give us a rundown of what AI is. And I actually pushed for us to create a policy that would be across the board and how teachers and students are to use AI in the school system. Because first of all, I think it should be uniform across the system. Everyone should be using the same policy, and it shouldn't be that one teacher is doing something and allowing AI to be used where another teacher may not be, and then there's implications there in terms of grading, etc. So we have a policy meeting.
Thank you. And now we have Kate.
I think that cell phone, hopefully the state's going to set policy for cell phones. Right now, I think one of the biggest issues is that a lot of teachers do something different. Some kids get extra credit for putting their phones away. Some kids walk in the door, they put their phones in a pouch. Some teachers expect kids to put the phone on the teacher's desk when they go and use the bathroom. And a lot of it all falls on an educator. So hopefully the state will set policy here and take it off everyone's plate. In terms of AI, my experience has been focused on providing parents with anticipatory guidance on the impact of technology on brain development. And, I do recognize that technology landscape is evolving and always evolving, and there is a part for AI to play. But I also really believe that students need to learn how to develop their core thoughts and ideas that evolve as they mature and how to think critically. And right now, I'm concerned about the ease in which students can lean on AI, allowing them never to consider the question at hand or learn the value that disorganization and vulnerability that comes with researching a problem or forming their own opinion. So I do think there has to be policy on AI, one for educators across the board, but we also have to have a balance so that students aren't leaning into this and are utilizing it while still developing their own core beliefs or positions on a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, we have Kai.
Okay. Thank you for the question. There's a couple of things going on here. First, I want to talk about the Chromebooks and that sort of stuff. Kind of second, what Frank said in terms of different schools have different sort of funding in terms of the PTO. So a little adjacent to the Chromebooks is the sleeves. One of the teachers asked that the PTO provide sleeves for the incoming fifth graders. We looked it up. It's a good chunk of change. So I went in front of the school committee and the administration, asked if there were any available for across the board for the schools, and specifically Southwest, since that's where I've heard of the issue. I know other PTOs have a little more money, so they could maybe go and purchase it for their kids. It's not something that Southwest was able to do, and it was good that Quincy Public School was able to find the sleeves and ship them throughout the district. The question on ChatGPT and technology, AI. So we can't be Luddites and say no to AI, no to this. We need to teach it to our kids. What's the right way to use it? A tool is a tool. It could be something good, could be something bad. It depends on how you use it. So having guidance and guidelines on how it should be used across the board is something I support. And then in terms of for the phones in the classrooms, that's actually a question that was asked when I did my interview with QEA. So I'm on board to say that no phones in class. my understanding that at least at Southwest, that's the case. You need to call your parents or whatever, go down to the office. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have our next question.
This question topic is comprehensive student support and inclusion. Quincy Public Schools serves a diverse student population with a range of academic, social, emotional, and special education needs. Inclusion classroom models, adequate staffing for related services such as speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral supports, and counseling, as well as comprehensive staff training in neurodiversity, trauma, emotional regulation, and SEL are essential to equitable access. Families also seek meaningful partnership in the design, monitoring, and evaluation of these services to ensure responsiveness and equity across all neighborhoods. The question is, how would you prioritize and budget for these supports, ensure consistent availability and equity across all schools, provide sufficient staffing and training, and engage families effectively to create an inclusive, supportive environment where every student can thrive?
First, we have Marcia.
So from my experience, I'm aware of the many programs and interventions that are available to help support students in schools. The intent is to help the students both academically and with their social and emotional needs as well. They're all intertwined. If a student is experiencing distress with their emotions, such as symptoms of depression, they're not going to learn as easily as they could if they're not going through those difficulties. This is why we have a system of support that includes teachers, paras, guidance counselors, adjustment counselors, nurses, special education teachers, reading specialists, speech and language professionals, and more. We should always aim to have students in the least restrictive environment, and at times we need to make adjustments based on what that student needs. For example, I have a student who just moved from another country. We put that student in classes based on information we gleaned from that student, the parent, guardian, and their records. But then we give them the WIDA, and from those scores, sometimes we learn that they need a more supported English class. We then change the schedule and help that student to be in the place they need to enable them to learn better. Not easier, more like an equal playing field. We do this for other students by for example, having a paraprofessional or another teacher in the classroom to help support that student to make things more inclusive for all. My goal is to make sure we provide this support for all students.
Thank you. Next, we have Frank.
Thank you. Great question. It covers a wide range of things, and this isn't sufficient amount of time to answer them all. But I will say that we all have to understand everybody's differences. That's very key. When I was at Central, we had the entire staff and student population read a book, Joey Pig's The Swallow the Key. And if you haven't read that book, you need to read it to see what a child with ADHD feels like. I know Southwest did something similar, where everybody read the book. But we also had the author come in after we did small panel discussions with students, teachers, and parents, sitting there, understanding the differences of everybody that was involved in our building. That is key. I also want to say that being on the Quarry Board and having a partnership with the school system, we're able to get immigrants involved in a mentoring program as they arrived in our country. But here's the big problem. Identifying children that are new to this country that may have a disability, or is it a language issue? I advocated for tests years ago to try to identify those kids because a poor child who may have had not understanding English may have had a severe disability and it wasn't discovered until too late. So I advocate for things like that to make sure we understand everybody's differences and provide those things that we need to service those differences. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tina.
Thank you. That also is a multi-pronged question. There's a lot there. I think that, again, we as a system, we really focus on a lot of the behavioral health. It's all about supporting our students and what they need. And I think we identify places where we can help students. And like we have Behavioral Health Navigator, which is a new position that has helped. Last year, it was brand new, 200 students and their families connect to resources that help them with things that they need in the behavioral health field. We have adjustment counselors, we have math and literacy specialists, we have paraprofessional support. We work with community agencies like Quarry and Walker Therapeutics and Aspire. Another initiative we have is we're opening a Manet Health Center in Quincy High School for families who may not have access to medical support. And so that is something that is open to our students and families as well. And again, I think that the biggest piece of we have our academic side of the house where we work really hard to give students what we need, but we also have the social emotional. We do things also. There's a Hope and Care program, which is something basic like hygiene products that are distributed to kids across the system so that they have what they need. We have free lunches, free breakfasts. I mean, there's a lot in place for our students so that everyone has access to the basic needs that they have, either physical, emotional, or academic. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kate.
I think first, from a funding level, from a budget level, we have to acknowledge what's happening on the federal level with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the federal mandate that supports children with special needs. Right now, it's a very big issue about how the funding will impact the state of Massachusetts. Since on the federal level, the Department of Education that handles this department has been gutted. There's 5 employees left out of 200 that follow the mandate that ensures children receive the appropriate special education services. So I think we have to think strategically in case we face budget implications from the lack of federal funding. I think about this question from a parent's perspective of if you have a child with special needs, I think, or a child who's facing bullying, you feel particularly vulnerable when your child is at school, and you want to know that the services that they need are being offered and are received. And I think there are a couple of small things related to transparency that we can do for parents to allow them that their children are receiving the services that they have in their IEP or their 504. And one of those things, and some schools do this, is that families should be made aware of whether the services happen each day or not. And we know teachers get sick, clinicians get sick, services might not happen. But some schools, each kid that comes home with a piece of paper marked off, I had reading services today. I saw the OT today. And parents feel a sense of relief in knowing that their children receive the services that they anticipated them getting, rather than worrying that their needs aren't being met. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kai.
So this isn't a topic I'm too familiar with. I like to continue prioritizing and budgeting what we're able to do. And then on I'll share a story on the scout side. So hearing from another scout leader, what he asked one of the parents is, what can I do to help scout so-and-so be successful? And then having that conversation with the parent gave him some insight on how best to work with their child. So that's something that I've tried in my scouting work, and seeing some improvements, and also pairing that particular scout with a leader that they're maybe a little more comfortable with. That helps. So having an open dialogue with parents and the student and the parents, I think will help. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, we have Tom.
I agree with many of the sentiments expressed earlier about the importance of looking at education holistically. Our students learn best and achieve the best academic outcomes when they're also healthy in the social, emotional areas, physically healthy, and in safe environments, both physical safety and emotional safety. And so when students have challenges achieving their best academic outcomes, we need to be there for them to address those obstacles that may be inhibiting them. Many of our students need additional supports, and QPS has some wonderful programs and some of the most dedicated specialists and therapists. But many families aren't completely aware of the supports and services available to them. We must do a better job of sharing that information and in multiple languages. Community support is available, and we can do more to strengthen and expand these partnerships. Let's emphasize and promote family liaison programs that connect non-English speaking parents with school resources and support systems. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we move to our final question, question 6.
The final question is about transparency, communication, and student voice. Families, educators, and students alike have emphasized the need for greater transparency in decision-making, clearer and more inclusive communication from district leadership, and processes that genuinely reflect community input. At the same time, students are seeking stronger roles in shaping school culture, curriculum, and policies that affect their daily lives. Parents also want to be active partners in designing, monitoring, and evaluating services to ensure policies are responsive and equitable. How will you improve transparency and communication between the school committee, families, and staff while elevating both student voice and parent partnership as foundational elements in building a more inclusive, accountable, and responsive school district?
And first, we have Frank.
Thank you. There's nothing more important than getting everybody involved in running our school system. That's why when I was a principal at Quincy High, I made sure the parents, through their PTO, had a lot to do with our decision-making. I had teams of teachers meeting during the school day to solve problems and make Quincy High School a better place. I also had students run a monthly assembly with their grades. Student organized it, students that created the agenda, and students led the assemblies. Every student could be heard through their student organization. That is why, a long time ago, in the late 80s, school committee member Steve Durkin and myself created the open forum. Nothing more important at school committee meetings. But we also did this, and this solves the problem to the question that you just asked. Besides students sitting at school committee meetings, there needs to be a representative of our teachers sitting there, maybe through their union organization, and maybe the citywide can also put up a parent to sit at school committee meetings where we're all involved. We did that in the late 80s, and there was nothing more important. Students, a parent rep, and a teacher rep sat with school committee and made decisions, voicing their opinions and helping solve the problems. It created a better school system when everyone's involved. I'll be looking for 3 other votes if I'm elected to put not only students, but a parent and a teacher sitting on school committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tina.
Thank you. I first of all, I think one of the most important cogs in the wheel is the PTOs, like we have right now tonight, the citywide PTO. That is your place to have a voice and be able to make sure that your school is being represented by parents. And, you know, I do feel like parents and families and students are, I don't know if they're intimidated or they're not comfortable with reaching out to us as school committee members. And I wish that wasn't the case, because that literally is our job, to be there to answer any questions or concerns that parents and families or students might have. I know I myself am always available. I've met with parents in person, on the phone, and through emails whenever there's an issue. But I think we need to be better at opening up that line of communication and making people feel more comfortable to be able to express their concerns or their needs, or, you know, it's not always concerns. Sometimes there's good things that are happening and they want to expand them and, you know, just be more collaborative in our process. And in terms of students, I love the student representative at school committee, but like Frank said, some kids are more engaged than others. So I think there's an answer to that, where the student reps, I believe, meet with Dr. Perkins maybe once a month. MJ and Louisa, you might be able to answer that question. And that gives them a voice directly with administration to be able to talk about things that are happening in their schools that they might want to take a look at. And I do think we're doing a better job in terms of community notices and newsletters and emails, the websites and the social media communication pieces. But I think it's imperative for parents to be able to take advantage of those things and open up their emails and you know, pay attention to the communications.
Thank you. Next, we have Kate.
I completely support the school committee student representation. I think you guys have a really important voice to bring to school committee. I think it's a big ask to have parents have to show up at 6:30, which is such a crazy time for families to communicate an issue at open forum. I do believe, you know, school committee should hold community meetings without a specific agenda, just to hear from parents, to have an open forum. You know, I advocated against the restrictions to open forums. I think all open forum letters should be read at the meetings. It's one of the reasons at Citywide last year, I asked that we have an open forum so that parents have an opportunity to come and share their concerns. I think that, you know, as a school committee member, it would be my job to hear from parents and educators and all stakeholders and make them feel that they have an equally important voice. And I just think that 6:30 time is hard, right? Especially you're working, you're getting home, you have your kids. So I would like to see, from transparency's sake, another opportunity for parents to be able to come and meet with school committee members on a non-meeting night. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kai.
So I love, thank you for the question. I love how we have student reps at the school committee meeting. Just last one, Mr. Guttrow asked the students what they thought about something, and they provided feedback. I think it was the attendance matters push. So students answered that they were being supported and that sort of stuff. And I like Frank's idea of having the union rep there to perhaps speak on something if they're interested in, and then having parents involved. So on our end at Southwest, one of our PTO members suggested that, hey, we have a good sized team. Let's have someone attend the school committee meetings. That was suggested last year, I think around October or so. And then I was like, oh, well, Wednesday I'm available, so let me go check it out. I've attended them in person. For the most part, there were a couple where I didn't attend in person, so I watched online. And every time I go there, I learn something new. And I'm also texting the rest of the team, the PTO team, of like what's going on, if it's something that might impact us. So we have conversations around that. And I like the idea of having the kind of like school committee open forum just for that. Kind of like to Kate's idea. But the timing might be tough also because like I wouldn't be able to get off of work and be available until probably 6:30 anyway. So if it's not this day, the Wednesdays, it's some other day, unless it's the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tom.
Very simple. Elect a parent, the school committee. Parent with kids currently in the schools. Someone who's getting real-time data every day when their kids come home. Someone who's going to those events and school activities with their students. I love the student reps at school committee meetings. I really like the collaboration of our student reps with Citywide PTO for this event. But we can do a better job of communicating with families, especially with those, especially for those of English learners. We should try to increase parent involvement by holding more family events and doing more outreach. We'd benefit from more transparency in the school budget as well. Let's identify and take corrective measures to inequities in spending. I would establish clear metrics to measure return on investment for all educational spending. And let's have more community input sessions to ensure budget priorities reflect parent and educator needs. As a member of the school committee, I would hold office hours and make myself available to QPS families to discuss issues and concerns and even offer homework help. Of course, we'll start with K through 5. So I've worked through some challenging problems in ST Math. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, we have Marcia.
So as a guidance counselor, I spend most of my day communicating with students and listening to their concerns. I contact families at home as well. I'm comfortable doing that. I've helped thousands of students and families. As part of my job, I have to be approachable and be able to listen to what people are saying. I'm able to build trust and a relationship with them. And I've done this for over 30 years for students of all ages, and I would continue doing this as a school committee member. As for school committee, it's great that the meetings are televised, including the subcommittee meetings. That's good so the community can see what's going on, even if they can't make it that night. It's available through QATV even afterwards, so if someone wants to look back at something, they can do that. It's great that there's an open forum and then an interested party can speak their mind. I would expect that if I'm on the school committee and a person has a question, comment, or issue, they could contact me via email or phone. I'm happy to meet. I'm involved in many activities across the city so people can see me. I would also expect to attend school events across the city as well. And any interested party could communicate with me there. I think it's excellent that there are 2 student school committee members from the high schools, and the school committee can also attend the student council meetings to hear student concerns. Transparency, listening, and communication are essential to this process. And I love the involvement, for example, tonight of MJ and Louisa, and the Citywide is a great forum as well. Thank you.
Thank you all for your thoughtful responses. And now each of you is going to have 1 minute to make your closing statements. We'll start with Frank.
The Quincy Public Schools is a great school system. It's this city's #1 resource. It has a direct impact on your property values. I know the Quincy Public Schools as a parent, grandparent, teacher, principal, and former school committee member. I know the issues, and I can contribute to the solutions. I have the knowledge I have the experience, and you have 3 votes on November 4th. Cast one of them for Frank Santoro. And I would like to thank those of you who volunteer for this organization and keeping it going. It's a great thing, and thank you for your time. I also want to thank MJ and Louisa for giving up their evening. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next is Marcia.
I've spent the last few months campaigning and having great conversations with people all over the city. I've listened. As a guidance counselor, I know that it's crucial to listen first before you can solve a problem. I will listen to you. I've experienced working in public schools across all grade levels, and I work with students and families to help them reach their goals. I'm a strong advocate for students while working with teachers to find solutions. It's important to differentiate what we do for students since they don't all have the same needs. I intend to use my experience to advocate for students. I'm realistic with my approach, and I communicate daily with students' families, as well as teachers, staff, and administrators. And I know these skills are transferable to working on the school committee. I'm Marcia Roos, and I respectfully ask for your vote for school committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tom.
Thank you all again for spending this time with us tonight. My background has equipped me well to tackle this opportunity. The decisions made by school committee affect my kids now. My incentives are aligned with yours. I'm an independent thinker with the analytical, collaborative, and data skills to solve complex problems. I believe in and adhere to evidence-based decision-making. I have the energy and enthusiasm for this job. I care about all the students in this city and will work hard for them so that they're prepared for life after they graduate from our schools. I bring a new voice and perspective that will strengthen the school committee and the schools. I'm Tom Leung, candidate for Quincy School Committee, and I humbly ask for one of your votes on November 4th.
Thank you. Next is Kai.
Thank you, Citywide, for putting this together. MJ and Louisa, I hope you guys get some community service credits or some extra credit for this. I'm Kylie, running for school committee. Let's see. I forgot what I was going to say. We have a lot of, so Quincy's blessed with a great public school system, and all the candidates are really great. And part of the school committee is you get 3 votes. So you get to pick someone that represents maybe a different slice of what you want to see on the school committee. So there's folks here that are parents. There's folks here that have experience in the school system. I hope I'm able to fit into one of those slices, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you. Next, we have Kate.
Thank you to Citywide PTO for organizing tonight's forum and to our student moderators. And thank you to everyone for taking the time to listen and learn about the issues and the candidates. I understand how Quincy Public Schools and Quincy School Committee function, and I believe I have the experience and skills to be a unifying voice that represents students, families, and educators. My mother used to send my siblings and now my own children off to school every morning by saying, "Have a good day and make it a better day for someone else." I have dedicated my life to making a difference and uplifting those more vulnerable, especially children. If elected, I will work every single day to make our schools a place where every child can grow and become their smartest, most talented, most curious selves. Again, my name is Kate Campbell, and I ask for your vote on November 4th for Quincy School Committee.
Thank you. And next we have Tina.
Thank you for hosting this tonight. During my time in education and on the school committee, I've had the privilege of working alongside dedicated educators, and I gained valuable insight into the importance of aligning academic policies and resources with the needs of our students and families. I'm committed to collaborating with my colleagues so that we may maintain strong academic standards, implement common sense policies, manage our resources responsibly, and keep an open line of communication amongst all of our constituents. I believe in the principle that representation matters and that it matters for all of our students, families, educators, and administrators, because when we work together with shared goals, we create a positive, effective, and inclusive learning environment, which I truly believe Quincy Public Schools already is doing. So I ask for your vote on November 4th. It would be a great honor to continue to serve. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me anytime at Tina Cahill, QuincyPublicSchools.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to hear from Citywide President Jill.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much. Colleen, thank you for stepping in and helping to move things going with my computer issues. To all 6 candidates, I appreciate you taking the time to be here tonight. This was wonderful. MJ and Louisa, you guys crushed it. Thank you so much. Just as a reminder to everyone, these questions were collected via Google form that Citywide was promoting out for a few weeks leading up to this event. To the candidates, we will share the spreadsheet with you all of the questions. I did use AI to help me collaborate and lump a bunch of questions together. So the multi-pronged questions were thanks to AI. But this was great. Thank you all so much. Do not forget to vote November 4th. This Saturday is the last day to register to vote. And I hope to see you all next month on November 10th for the next Citywide meeting. Have a good night, everyone.